Of all of the unqualified candidates that Trump has put in cabinet level positions, RFK Jr. is by far the most unqualified to hold the position that he has been nominated to.
Right now, there's a 40-year-old law that requires hospital ERs accepting payment from Medicare to actually provide emergency care to patients. So let's say a woman experiencing a life-threatening condition like a heart attack goes to the ER. As a lawyer, you would agree that that federal law protects her right to emergency care, correct?
Yes.
So now a pregnant woman with life-threatening bleeding from an incomplete miscarriage goes to the ER. Let me rephrase that so you can hear. A pregnant woman with a life-threatening bleeding from an incomplete miscarriage goes to the ER, and her doctor also determines that she needs an emergency abortion. But she's in a state where abortion is banned. You would agree also as an attorney that federal law protects her right to that emergency care, correct?
I don't know. I mean, the answer to that is I don't know if the state
Well, let me ask you this as an attorney. Doesn't federal law preempt state law?
The federal Constitution does. Sometimes not every federal law preempts state laws. It could be unconstitutional. I'm not trying to be evasive.
In this case, let me ask you
Senator, I'm
this.
just telling you I don't know the
I
answer to
appreciate that.
question.
But what authority do you have over this as the director of HHS?
What authority do I have?
Yeah, to enforce the law.
In what regards?
To make sure that a hospital that receives payment from Medicare is ensuring that they're providing the necessary emergency care to patients when they present. It's actually the EMTALA law. So what authority as HHS director do you have with respect to EMTALA?
My understanding is that I have budgetary power and that it's pretty much limited to that. But if you tell me I have another authority, I don't even think that.
Well, let me tell you,
we have
a
law enforcement branch at HHS.
Actually, you do, and that's CMS. CMS actually investigates complaints of EMTALA violations, as well as the Health and Human Services Inspector General, who, by the way, was just recently fired by Donald Trump.
He doesn't even know what the position he's been nominated for does. Literally doesn't know what it does, what it can do, what it can't do. He has no fucking idea. And on top of that, I know it's going to come as a shock, but he perjured himself.
Did you say that exposure to pesticides causes children to become transgender?
No, I never said that. I think a lot of the problems we see in kids, and particularly boys, it's probably underappreciated that how much of that is coming from chemical exposures, including a lot of the sexual dysphoria that we're seeing. They're swimming through a soup of toxic chemicals today, and many of those are endocrine disruptors. There's atrazine throughout our water supply. Atrazine, by the way, if you in a lab put atrazine in a tank full of frogs, it will chemically castrate and forcibly feminize every frog in there, and 10% of the frogs, the male frogs, will turn into fully viable females able to produce viable eggs. If it's doing that to frogs, it could. There's a lot of other evidence that it's doing it to human beings as well.
So he doesn't know what the position he's been nominated for can and cannot do legally. He perjures himself. He's an anti-vaxxer. He believes that the COVID vaccine was bioengineered to target certain ethnicities and spare other ethnicities. And he believes pesticides are making kids trans. He has no business being the head of HHS.